This show is brought to you by HostBaby.com, web hosting for musicians.
Episode 28 of Music Marketing Monday. It's all about gigs. And so you want to perform live, so you head to the local nightclub, the local coffee shop, and that's pretty much all you do, right? Au contraire. On this episode, we talk about alternative performance venues and spaces. This is going to be a great one. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Information, inspiration, motivation for the modern musicpreneur.
Time to start your week right.
Here it comes, Music Marketing Monday, with your host, Bob Baker,
Mr. Buzz Factor,
and Billy Gryzak.
the music marketing mind.
Ready? Are you sure?
Set.
Here it comes. Swing, baby.
Excuse me, you want me to play where? You want me to do what? You want me to stand on, huh? Come on, man. I'm a rock star. I don't do these things. Unless, of course, you want to work. And today, we're going to be discussing lots of different places you can play rather than the traditional stage like Bob told us at the beginning. Oh, hey, I'm Billy Gryzak, the music marketing mind. And, of course, this is...
I am Bob Baker, Mr. Buzz Factor, and you want me to do what? Be on a podcast instead of a normal radio show? Oh, no way.
Hey, podcasting is the new radio, man.
It is. Looks like, orange is the new black or whatever.
No. I mean, seriously, check it out. Do you know that all the iPhones that are coming out now have a podcasting app native to the operating system that you can't get rid of, and it's right there on the homepage?
Ooh, I like that when you can't get rid of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to go from millions of potential listeners to billions if all works as Apple has planned it.
Yeah, and then the Android market's pretty big with podcasts too.
Man, yeah.
So,
and apparently the market's really big with you because you're listening to us. Thank you so much. We don't thank you enough for downloading or streaming or tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Music Marketing Monday, and I'm so excited. I'm ready to fire up.
Musical entrepreneur on fire.
Hey, I like that.
Little reference to another podcast out there by our friend John Lee Dumas.
John Lee Dumas, entrepreneur on fire. We are ready to ignite.
Indeed. We'll have to let him know that we mentioned him.
Absolutely. So anyway, we've been on a rampage of sorts, just trying to give our listeners exactly what they want. We actually went as far as to set up a poll on the internet and on our Facebook group and our speak pipe and everything. And we wanted to know exactly what you wanted. And you have spoken. And for the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about publicity. But today we're moving on to our second biggest vote getter, which is
alternative performance spaces or something to that effect.
Yeah, alternate venues.
Yeah, right. And the word venue sort of implies that it could be a traditional. I mean, it could be a place that's not even normally considered a venue, but but basically you're just. I guess the question you should see a lot. Let me back up here. I'm sorry, I'm rambling and talking over myself here. But the question a lot of musicians ask themselves is, how can I get into the X, Y, or Z club? Or they're very tunnel vision on, this is a music venue, I need to be in there. When I think a better question to ask yourself is, how can I get exposure to more people who might enjoy my music? Where can I perform in front of people? That's like a wide open question, which leads to a whole variety of answers, which I think is what we're going to explore on this episode.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll give you a little bit of background for those of you that may not be aware. I've been in the music business as a live performer full-time for 30 plus years. Honestly, Bob, it's been almost 40 years now. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it.
Unbelievable. I know I look good. But the thing is that for a good portion of that, maybe the first 25, 30 years or so, I really thought that the only places to perform were like nightclubs, casinos, bars, things like that. Not even coffee shops, because in my world, being primarily like a classic rock band, you generally don't, bring in the big stage and the flash pots and the par cans into a coffee shop, so that was not an option for us, so, this was always concert stages, fairs and festivals later I found that we could do. it wasn't until I switched from being a grown-up adult act, insofar as what I do now, which is playing for families and kids, that I found out there was like a whole other world where you could go and play music and get paid well, and or even not even get paid if you want something to do like mega exposure. Like, it was amazing, all the things that I realized that I missed out on for the first, 2/3, 3/4 of my career. So I'm hoping that we can share these opportunities with everyone today.
Yeah, and I think what the reason that people have that, or musicians have that tunnel vision, is it's because I think when we're first exposed to live music, it's generally at a concert or at a bar or some kind of nightclub or whatever, and so we see a band, and usually we're very impressed with the band, or, oh man, that'd be so cool to be up on that stage in front of that crowd, doing the concert thing, and so you set that's your vision of what success is. However, you can get stuck, like I said, in tunnel vision and closed-minded thinking. That's the only thing that you can pursue to reach fans, to get paid, to make a difference with your music. And yeah, it is kind of eye-opening when you realize, oh, this is just one of an infinite number of options that I have.
Infinite number of options. Infinite. Yeah. So, you want to kick us off, Bob, with some thoughts?
Yeah, so I actually did a little bit of, I was thinking about my own history, because I too have been playing, and I think I'm coming up on 40 years of playing. I've been playing music since my teens, which is getting close to 40 years, or about 40 years now. There was a 3-year period in my 20s when I actually did do it full time. And then when I started publishing my local music newspaper, which I've mentioned many times, I decided, I made a decision to make, music more of a part-time hobby, which sort of relieved me of that sort of being in that limbo of, am I full-time? What are my aspirations? But I continue to play steadily all these decades. And so from my own experience, I've done the nightclub scene, I've done the concert venues, but I also have played at churches and house parties and all these different things I'm sure we're going to touch on. I also just did a little research to see what was out there, and our good friends at CD Baby, the DIY musician blog, have, not surprisingly, have covered this. And if we, I have a feeling this might be a multi-parter, so whether we get to it on this episode or it spills over into another one, we can go through their checklist. They have a pretty lengthy list here of alternative spaces. So let's start with you, Billy. You just mentioned that, after years of playing the adult nightclub circuit, you got into children's and family music. And what was your first couple of eye-opening moments of playing alternative venues in your own history?
Well, for me was the fact that they actually have live music in libraries. That was amazing, and they pay. It's not just like going in for free, and it's not just kids' music. Apparently, as I've learned. I mean, every summer, libraries have a theme for all the libraries all across the country, and like one year it's a science theme, one year it's a imagination theme, one year it's a comedy theme, whatever. And they bring entertainers in for the kids, but they also have themes for the teenagers. And they have themes for adults. And many libraries around the country run live shows indoors in the library. And I've seen jazz bands. I've seen folk singers. I've seen people on tour, with bands that come in and do an unplugged act or even an electric act if they have a theater. Libraries are a great resource. Are you hip to that at all, Bob?
I'm hip to that. A good portion of that is our conversations over the years. But I was talking to a friend of mine recently who a library was hiring them to come in and give some kind of a workshop. And I think there was a musical element to it, but they were mainly coming in to speak, and maybe they were getting, I don't know, $200 or $300 or something. But I remember they said, the person that booked them said that children's music, to people that come in with a children's music act, get paid a lot more.
Yeah,
it
is true.
Budget. So I didn't realize it was that lucrative in the library market.
It really is. It really is. And the other thing too is if you're interested with working with teenagers, what I just started doing this year was I delivering an add-on, which is really great. I'll do a show for the kids or the families in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'll stay for a little extra money or a lot more money depending upon the situation. And I do a teen workshop, and what we do with the teen workshops is we show them how to record their own music using gadgets and devices they already own. It could be their home computer, their cell phone, their iPads, their tablets. And we just sit there and we actually go through the process of recording music, because a lot of these kids have these devices, but they don't know that they can do that with them. So that's been pretty cool. And I've also been asked for next year to stay for the evening. That's even, that's adding, you want fries, you want to upsize, you want a soda, you want a cherry pie. And now for the evening, they want to know if I'll do songwriting sessions or songwriting critiques for the grown-ups. So that's turned into, it's really expanded, as the years have gone on.
That's very cool. And I have a feeling as I'm thinking, mulling this over, this alternative venue thing. I mean, I know your specialty, in addition to the straight ahead rock that you did for years, is the kids' music, which you do in a classic rock style. I think most people know. But the venues that you perform in are probably often dictated by the style of music, by your target market. So there's obviously places where kids and families hang out, like the library, and I'm sure there are other places, perhaps like mall. I think he's also. Haven't you done the mall thing
I
too?
had a 2-year. Let me say that again. 2-year house gig at the downtown mall in Green Bay, where I played. It was either 1 or 2 Saturdays a month for 2 years, for very good money. And I would say that is how I built my mailing list from like 0 to like 8,000 in 2 years, because I was in a real major public setting. And that did more for my career. I'd say between playing the mall and being on television a lot, really is what gave me like the big boost, the big jump to being like, a player in my region, regionally.
I was going to say, yeah, that's more of a regional thing, which I guess you can leverage and milk that a little bit online, but that's more of a localized thing, which is cool because you want to be available to perform live.
Right. Well, the thing that was cool though is because we live in Green Bay, we have the Green Bay Packers, and on Packer weekends we have people from all over the country and all over the world come. So I mean, I had offers to play in Florida and Denver and everything by people coming to the mall and watching my show because they brought their kids to Green Bay to see the Packers.
Cool. Now I'm curious, did an individual retailer hire you or bring you in, or did the mall, like association, the overall mall, have you play out in the open court, or how did that work?
That's a great question. And funny thing is that actually, do you want the long story? Because the long story is really interesting.
Let's go for it.
All right.
It's definitely going to be a two-parter.
The long story is this, and it goes back to the libraries again. I went to the Central Green Bay Library and said, I would like to play at your library. I'm a new kids act. And they said, and I showed them what I did, and they were really excited, but they said, unfortunately, we booked all our shows for the year already, which is if you're going to play libraries, it's good to know what time of the year they like to book their shows, because usually, they're all usually booked. Libraries are usually booked for the summers by anywhere between November to February. Okay. But anyway, so I went in like in a May or something, and I said, I'd like to play your library, but they're really excited. And says, well, we'll put you in the book. And then apparently the mall, which was just down the street, went to the library and asked, who are the really good kids entertainers? We want to do something really exciting in the mall to bring more people in. And she says, well, I just met this guy, Mr. Billy, and he seems like a ball of energy. You should try him out.
Cool. So having success in one alternative venue led to a connection in another related alternative venue. Oh, cool.
And it was the mall manager, marketing director, that wanted to do something to bring more people in, and I was it.
So there's like, and I don't know the structure of malls. I just primarily a consumer, but I assume there's like some sort of a management, sort of like a neighborhood. I don't know, the thing you pay dues to every year, and they take care of the overall subdivision or something. Is it a similar thing with malls where there's like an overseer and they have a budget? I guess they collect some fees.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or maybe part of your rent goes to marketing. I don't really know that. And by the way, that wasn't the only mall I played. As a result of playing that one mall on the west side of Green Bay, I actually got asked to perform on the east side of Green Bay Mall on the weeks I wasn't playing in the west side.
Wow, cool.
And so that was for the second year. So I was actually employed, every weekend at a mall. And what was really great was my following would bounce between the two. It was really nice. And then when I would play these mall shows, I would have flyers that would say where else I was playing, and I would give people extra flyers and ask them to hang them up and stuff. I didn't know what a street team was back then, but it was really great because I was actually creating this kind of community that would follow me from mall to mall to mall to mall, and really got behind what I did, and really wanted to help build it. And an interesting thing was when I did my 2 big CD release parties, I had 2 enormous CD release parties back when I started out, and the mall donated the space both times. And they did all the promotion. I mean, they spent thousands of dollars promoting my event because they knew it was going to bring people in. So, having a good relationship with an alternative venue, that has some marketing budget is invaluable.
That is awesome. So since we're on the topic of like shopping centers, malls, do you have other experience with like specific retailers who have brought you in?
Yeah, I actually played in the parking lot at a strip mall, where a new business was opening and they wanted to get some buzz. And, it was again, for me, it was a family oriented thing. So they knew I had a big draw. And not to mention the draw, but they just thought that if, they were out on a busy street, and they thought if they had a big event and balloons and a band playing and people dancing, that would go well. Also, Pizza Hut, hired me to do a big show, that was involved with a promotion they had for supporting a, kids camp, right? So they had like this carnival they had me play, but this is a really funny one. They didn't want to pay me cash, but they, but they paid me in pizza.
And you said, sign me up.
I did, man. And I think it was a really bad move on their part because, to be honest with you, it was like $1,000 worth of pizza. So I ended up using that for I would have little parties for my street team and different stuff. And I was just always having, going over and get, 10 pizzas from Pizza Hut for free for 6 months. It was great.
That's awesome. Do you want to talk any more about retail stores, or do you want to mention some other stuff too?
Yeah, I mean, retail stores are great. Oh, well, not to mention in stores. I've also worked at, and many other people I know have actually gone in and played at music stores. I just did one of those recently. That was a great one. They gave me half cash and half store credit. I thought that was great. That was for a grand opening.
Cool. I'm looking over the CD Baby page that I mentioned, where they actually list a total of let's see how many. I can reach for my mouse here. They list 30 different alternative things here.
Well, go down the list and let's see if I have any experience with them, or you do.
Well, since we're on the retail stores, what they say, they break it down, or just have a list there. It says that there's book and comic book stores. And actually, I have played, when Borders was around years ago, I played in their cafe, which was kind of cool. Let's see, where else are we at? Vintage and clothing stores. I haven't done that personally, but every now and then I'll hear of a band playing somewhere.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, a boutique and oddity store. You mentioned record stores, like the skate shops, I'm sure, which likes to be more and more aggressive stuff, I guess.
Now, I've played a lot of record stores, and what's really great about record stores is the contemporary record store is usually a concert venue. They usually have stages and stuff already set up, and some will have sound systems. And for those of you that are interested in really getting some serious publicity and hooking up with a record store, there's a thing called Record Store Day. It happens every year around Easter time, and there's a website, Record Store Day, I think. And almost all the record stores are looking for lots of bands, because usually from the beginning of the day till closing, they have live music the whole time. So that would be a great thing for you to check out. And also, if your band is thinking about printing vinyl, usually that could be somewhat newsworthy and can be featured at the record store, because it's all about selling vinyl that day.
Cool. Listed on this list at number 6 is something I mentioned that I've done myself earlier. And so this was 2003. I started attending, I hesitate to even call it a church. It's more of a spiritual center. There's all over the U.S. There's this, things called, the Center for Spiritual Living. And it's a nationwide or whatever, worldwide thing. And I started attending there. And the curious thing happened is most Sundays that I went, I knew the musicians that were playing from like my bar band days, it never occurred to me, because I really hadn't been a church attending kind of person for a long time, that a lot of people that used to do the typical band, pop or rock band thing later in life in particular will often gravitate toward playing on Sundays at whatever church they're drawn to, or they feel they have a connection with. And so it was really interesting to me. I said, oh yeah. And then I started like sitting in with them. And then I realized, I could actually write music for these venues. So and it ended up, and now it's a very active part of what I do. And my girlfriend Pookie and I collaborate. We formed a choir a few years ago. And so if you play music that would be appropriate for whatever type of church you are called to or you attend, it doesn't have to be specifically religious in nature, but it usually generally has to be positive or uplifting. And so whether it's originals or covers, that is an option. And the really cool thing about playing churches to me is that it's an extremely attentive audience. It's almost like playing a jazz club or the Bluebird in Nashville, where you can hear a pin drop. People, it's not like your background noise and they're all talking to each other. They are just sitting there and you are the focus of their attention. And it allows you as an artist to get into nuances, with the music and how you introduce the songs and all this. And I really enjoy it. In fact, when I play any type of typical venue, it's a step down because they're not listening to me.
And a few other things about, say, we'll call them church gigs is, one, some of I like to call them corporate churches. We have a couple here in town that are like, big budget Billy Graham type things, Right. And their band is actually paid to be there, and they hire professional musicians and studio-esque. So if you have some chops and can read a chart, follow a chord chart, or actually read notes, you might want to consider applying or emailing some local churches to find out if their band is volunteer, faith-based, or if it's just hired guns. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
a lot of those. Yeah, there was. I don't attend or play at those type of mega churches that you're talking about, but yeah, they have concert. $1 million concert level systems and
this one church here has their television and audio facilities blow away any TV station or recording studio within like 100-mile radius of us. It's amazing.
Yeah, and a lot of them do pay their musicians.
Some pay very well too. The other thing too is from a meeting and networking standpoint, man, I've met a lot of really great musicians. I've worked with some recorded with some that I met at church, because there's some people that maybe don't want to play out because of their faith or whatever, but it's a great opportunity to find collaborators or people to work in the studio, or maybe get turned on to gigs. Like sometimes there's people that play there and they can't do a gig, they're looking for subs. So all around, aside from the spiritual and or faith growth that you may get from that, if that's what you choose, it's a great place to go and be as a musician.
Yeah, and since it is such an intimate, especially the smaller ones, I guess they tend to be smaller churches where maybe there's anywhere from 25 to 100 people in the room, not as opposed to the football size, like
right,
like Olstein or whatever. But because of that, and because people come there to sort of open their hearts, and there's often an emotional connection with the music, you actually can do really well with if you have CDs for sale. That actually you can sell a bunch of them and do well with that, in addition to whatever you're getting paid as a performer. So anyway, it's just something to consider, which it was like a whole area for decades of my life I was unaware of, and never thought about.
Isn't that amazing? That's just totally crazy. I'll throw one in for you. I don't know if this is in other parts of the country or not, but Goodwill Industries, the old, the Goodwill, buy used stuff places.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, here in Wisconsin, they actually have attached to them Goodwill run coffee shops. And what's really nice is it's very community oriented, and especially if you're a newer actor, you're looking to break in, work your act in and sell your CDs and stuff. There's great opportunities there. That's another alternative venue that I would recommend, and I've played at myself. And plus, they usually have open mics and stuff, and those are pretty cool.
Cool. So I'm looking over the CD Baby list again. I'll just kind of just pick some stuff over here. But they mentioned movie theaters, like a historic theater in between films during a film festival.
I've done that.
In the lobby, as theater goers purchase tickets, just wash the popcorn butter off your hands first. they say there. But so you have. I have not done that, but you have.
Yep. I've played before film, and I've played in the lobby. Both. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm sure I've done. I wonder if I've ever done this. But say ice skating rinks, roller skating rinks, bowling alleys.
I don't recommend ice skating rinks because it's freaking cold. That's just a bad idea, no matter how you look at it.
And I can't help but think that, unlike the church gigs that we were just talking about, these types of bowling alleys, ice skating, you are definitely background noise there. You know?
Well, it's funny. I actually reached out to the Music Marketing Mind Facebook group and said, "So, tell me about your alternative venues." And Jeff McCullough from Jumpstart 3 said he did a skating rink on the floor, with people skating past, no one paying attention, just a bunch of people falling down.
and hopefully, yeah, it really is.
But you know what's really funny? Have you ever seen the movie The Buddy Holly Story with Gary Busey?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, well, go get that now and watch it, Bob. Bad Bob.
I will do that as soon as we get
It's
off.
a classic. Anyway, when you first see Buddy Holly and the Crickets, they're playing in a roller skating rink.
Oh, wow. Cool. So hopefully those gigs pay well. If you're going to be ignored, just think about the check.
Yeah. Oh, and bowling alleys. I have done zillions of bowling alleys. That was actually in the 80s for sure when I was on the road. When we would come out to like Michigan and Wisconsin, what they would do, this is really interesting. A lot of these bowling alleys would take some of the lanes, they would actually put wood over half the lanes and make a stage out of it. And they would have a band playing in the bowling alley because not so many people would go in the summer. So they wanted to create more of a lounge bar atmosphere with a live band and dancing. And that was one of the crazier things I've done.
Very cool. Here's one that I have done a little bit of. Probably I can count it on two hands, but retirement homes. And I've done this with my girlfriend Pookie. She and I perform as a duo, and in addition to playing songs, she also is a hula dancer. She grew up in she's part Hawaiian, grew up in that culture. She's been dancing hula since she was old enough to stand, practically. And so we throw in some Hawaiian music. It mentions here it says serious cash can be made. I don't know. Some places have more of a budget than others. I don't know how. I don't think it's a big chunk of change, at least locally for me.
Well, let me know when you're done because I have a lot to add to this one.
Oh, okay, cool. It says especially if you can play holiday songs and golden oldies. So yeah, we have gone in there during the holidays, and I luckily, it's part of my cover song repertoire. I can do a pretty mean Elvis.
I've heard you do Elvis. You kick ass.
That's right, baby. I don't even do that one. But Santa, bring my baby back to me, or something like that. But we do some a few standards and just some upbeat fun songs, and you throw in the hula, and you got and you got yourself a whole. In fact, that's another thing we've talked about, and people have brought us in is when they have like a luau theme. Like sometimes these retirement homes they have like monthly events with themes, and now that some of them have caught word, if they have like a luau theme, they definitely want us to be there. And Pookie dresses up and has the leis and has got the Hawaiian garb on, and she even made a Hawaiian shirt that I wear. So you can. And we could talk about doing hula grams, it's just another thing altogether. But go ahead. Yeah. Well, how about your retirement home experience?
All right. Well, from first of all, I have two friends that make a living doing that. That's all they do. All right.
Cool.
I got one friend. Her name's Mary Lynn Hodges from New Jersey. And that's what she does. She goes and she does, check this out, like 2-3 a day sometimes. Okay. Wow. And, she averages, I believe, somewhere between $75 and $200 a performance. Okay. But if you think you're doing 3 of those a day,
right?
3, 4, 5 days a week. I mean, we're talking that's a living, And she also was really cool. What she does is she sings oldies, like old time music, and she actually brings her dogs with her. they're like therapy dogs, and like the elderly people love the puppies and they pet them and talk to them, and she sings. So she'll sing for like a half hour, an hour, and then she stays for a little bit and just talks and lets them hang with the dogs, which is really great. I have another friend here in Wisconsin who derives probably 2/3 of his income from that. And again, maybe it's as low as $75, but that's for a half hour. Okay. Mm-hmm. So $75 for a half hour, that's $150 an hour. That's a lot of money as an hourly salary for anybody. And he's again doing several a week. Now I've done some nursing homes and assisted living. Assisted living is even better because assisted living is like they have events, they have dances and things like that, because the residents are a little bit more with it, you know what I'm saying? So they could do funner things. So the thing is that there's three levels I found. Volunteer, which, you can go in and play. They love to have you come in and play. 2 is they have what I call lower paying, which is like the $75 to $100, which is about normal for most of them.
Right, that's pretty much where I've been. My experiences.
And then I have another friend who's actually an avid listener of our show. I'll give him a shout out here, and that's Mr. Vegas Man and Tom, and he has gotten into even like the $200, $300, $400, $500 shows when he's doing like his Elvis thing or his Christmas thing. Themes are king. I mean, if you have a theme, and in fact, it's funny you should mention the Hooligan because that's the next alternative venue he's gotten into. He's got himself an Elvis outfit now because he does Elvis, and he's actually doing Elvis singing telegrams now, and that's a definite way to make some serious coin, I'll tell you.
Cool. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to go quite there, even though I could pull it off, man. But
hey, man, it depends if the electric bills do or not, man. Really. I'll play anywhere.
So I think we probably have covered a good. Yeah, I think we probably should bring this one to a close. Do you think we haven't? I mean, there's still a lot more on this list. Do you want to go ahead and commit to a second?
Yeah. We're just getting started. But before we go, I'm going to give a shout out to a few more of the folks that sent us some stuff. Monty Harper said he played inside, check this one out, inside a zoo building with birds and alligators and a shark tank. Oh my That's God. Fun. Lisa, I can never get her name right, and she's going to kill me. Lisa Etna Bonell, they played Whole Foods grocery store. And I've done a lot of grocery stores, I'll tell you about that. And another, her brother played a show at a laser tag place. That's pretty interesting. We also have Ross Barber. His friend played at the chicken aisle in Whole Foods. And last but not least, Gary Toff had a band that they played at a Hastings, and they played in the parking lot like we talked about. And the manager of the store wanted them to come, but it was such a big event and so crazy that the manager almost got fired for creating such a big event with a live band. So I'd like to just give a shout out to all those folks that were nice enough to give us their suggestions or share their,
Absolutely. And I think, and even it's funny, we've only scratched the surface of alternative venues, but hopefully already people are realizing, oh, wow, I really have been limiting my thinking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I got to tell you, I mean, we haven't even talked about internet opportunities yet. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about. So before we go, I just want to let you know that even though the show's coming to an end right now, that doesn't mean that the fun is over. After you've listened to the show, if you're listening to it on a Monday, and if you're listening to it before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'd like you to join in a conversation about alternative venues. Today, we're going to be having a Twitter roundtable chat. And how you do that is you go on Twitter and you search hashtag, that's the number sign, MMM chat at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you can join the conversation. You can make comments, chat with each other, and we'll keep this conversation about alternative venues going. You can also use tweetchat.com to create a chat room. It'll look just like a chat room, but you'll be using Twitter as long as you use the hashtag again. MMM chat. We had our first chat last week. It was a great success. I'd like to thank everybody for joining, and I can't wait to see you all today.
That sounds cool. I know there are people all over the country and all over the world that listen to this podcast, but you may know I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. And if you're either in or near St. Louis or know somebody who is or who will be passing through town on Saturday, October 4th, right here in St. Louis, I'm going to be doing for the first time ever, a new workshop basically called The Creative Entrepreneur, 7 Steps to Building a Thriving Career in the Arts. So this is actually geared for creative people of all kinds, but I'm hoping to see my musician friends along with writers, visual artists, photographers, anyone in a creative field who wants to know. And this is more of a holistic. It's not just about marketing. I'll touch on marketing, but it's going to be more of a overall view of how to build a career, and those foundational principles to be able to make a difference and hopefully make a living with your creativity. So.
Beautiful. And if you have any questions or anything else you'd like us to cover in our unusual venues, part 2, you can always reach me at Music Market Mind on Twitter. And Bob?
And I'm at Mr. Buzz Factor on Twitter. You can reach me at Mr. Buzz Factor on Twitter, and then thebuzzfactor.com is the music marketing site where you can get the free download the free report called Music Marketing Secrets, and use the hashtag MusicMM for anything related to the podcast here.
Beautiful. So we'll see you a little bit later on today. Hashtag MMM chat. Thanks for listening.
All right, so long for now, folks. Think alternative spaces, baby.
Alternative!
Bye for now.
Are you still there? Excellent! Now would be a good time to visit hostbaby.com for your free 30-day trial. Of course.